Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our annual Part-Time Studies Pro-D event. We are happy to see your smiling faces. My name is Donna Mackay. I am the registrar here at BCIT, and I've been asked to MC tonight, so here I am. It's funny, I've been in education for many, many, many years. I've never been at the front of a lecture theater. So I kind of feel like I'm in your shoes a little bit, but there's no exams, no tests or anything at the end, so just bear with us as we get through this. So a couple of things that we'd like to remind you. If you have not stopped by the registration desk and got your name tag, please do so. That name tag will get you in for dinner later on. We've color-coded those name tags this year for the first time, so you can easily see people that are in your school and make new friends. So we encourage that to happen, please. Hope everyone's had a chance to visit the Services Expo in the Great Hall. If you haven't, they're open for a little while after this is over, so pop in. One of the most important things, if you were not here for our May event, stop by the Learning and Teaching desk and pick up a stick, a USB stick. It's got all the information, all the important resources that you need to be successful as a part-time studies instructor. So make sure that you do that, please. One of the things that I found over there, I stopped by and saw all the virtual reality technology. That is some really cool stuff for an old gal like me. So good job, library. It must be very exciting to be able to use that kind of technology in the classrooms. ITS. So they've been very busy over the course of the summer, and some of the key things that they've done for you guys, they've tripled the overall wireless capacity to 50,000 devices, up from the previous 16,000 devices. So there's going to be a lot better wireless coverage, especially in the big areas like the Great Hall. So that was a big improvement over the summer. They've also migrated to Windows 10 in all the general access computer labs and the most private restricted access labs. So that's a big change as well. And they also performed a general lab cleanup, and they've upgraded 300 lab computers and 800 monitors. They've received approximately 700 software install requests this summer and are busy making those adjustments for the images on the computers. So if you do have special software, please test your computers before your classes start. Just make sure that you've got everything. And if not, contact ITS through the Tech Help desk. If you need help getting to that, you can ask one of us afterwards or visit the Loop, and all the information about their contact hours and how to contact them is on the Loop. Again, I'm going to use this opportunity. The Loop is a very important thing. If you do not have access to it or haven't got onto it, please do so. It's a great way to find out what's going on in the Institute as a whole. From a part-time study support point of view, ITS will be sending out student technology assistants to each computer lab on the first week of classes. So there will be people available there if there's any problems with access or accounts to help you out. If you've got an urgent IT issue during your class, please contact the service desk again. Their local is 7444 and choose option 4, and they'll be able to get somebody out to you right away. They also have their extended hours again on the Loop, so please use that Loop. So that's it for my portion of the evening. It is my pleasure now to introduce our president, Kathy Kinlock, who's going to spend a few minutes giving you some updates from her point of view.
Thanks, Donna. It's great to see you here, and thank you. And I know it's hot, or at least I feel it's hot, so maybe it's just me. We're laughing about the heat on and off through the day, this weather. Anyway, I hope you've had a great summer, and just wanted to give you a few updates and review a couple of things. This is our 16th annual part-time studies evening, so it doesn't seem possible. It's been 16 years. It's just amazing. And last year I asked how many of you were here for 20 years, 30 years. Anybody here 30 years? Couple of folks. That's great. Congratulations. 20 years. Look at all the hands going up there. 15? So thank you all for all you're doing, because it's just, give yourself a round of applause. You deserve it. So it's great. And, it's because of you we've got the success I'm just going to outline briefly in terms of this coming academic year. It's great. I wanted to give you just a few stats because I thought you'd be interested in it. But I was looking at our numbers, and in 2016-17, there were over 30,000 students enrolled in part-time studies, 30,000 students. And 60% of those students are taking part-time courses. And also your success and your support in that is so important. In fact, it's critical to BCIT, what you do and how you teach. So I also wanted just to give you one more interesting statistic, that over 2,100 registrations in the computer systems courses. And it's usually, but also currently the largest part-time study discipline is in, the highest growth is in media communications, financial management, and business admin. So it's, wow, I'm getting the science from the School of Business. But, there's growth areas everywhere. It's not just one sector. So it's important to know that as well. So let me just give you a couple of things. Donna mentioned the highlights out of the ITS team, and they deserve a real round of thanks. They've worked hard all summer, and I know we're trying to get upgraded so that you are less frustrated when you come in. They've even put signs up in the lecture hall so that if you're having trouble, you can phone a number and it'll be hopefully seamless to you, where you don't have to dial, and you'll get an answer, and they'll triage the call behind the scenes for you. So they'll get somebody to you. And also these students, I know I had to call a student the other day, and ITS student, and they're very quick, they're on the spot, and they're there to help you. So please, I hope we can keep that student support coming for you as well. But they've extended their hours, and including weekday evenings and even some weekend support. So we're trying, and we'll get there gradually. And they asked me to say that while they were at it, they put coat hooks in the room. So, and I know in the rainy weather that's important too. So there just a few more examples of other things that we've done in terms of facilities generally. We've opened up 18 learning spaces that have either been upgraded or associated meeting rooms and offices. 8 elevators, which elevators may not seem that big of a deal, but they are for many of our students and visiting people who are coming in who need an elevator. And so they're totally refurbished. One is totally refurbished. Lots of new water fountains and additional fountains still coming in this fall, and some painting. And then, of course, we finalized the downtown center for a computing program. So that's all open, and we'll continue on in that. So we're going to continue on. You see in SE2 that we've still got it cordoned off a little bit, and that'll be a bit of a traffic flow for one more month, and then it opens up into the town square areas so that we can open them and use them as well. So if you need to do that. So that's why you have to jot around tonight into the Great Hall. So, but one of the initiatives that I'm really excited to share with you tonight is the campus renewal plan that we're going to be launching and working on over the next year. And that will hopefully give us more sustainable facilities that we can start to rebuild the Burnaby campus. And if you can see down below, there's 3 schematics. One is, what is this one, Craig? It's so we're looking at a new trace and technology complex, and that will include, and that will be extended to look at ecological restoration, and hopefully we can open Guichon Creek along there as well. I feel like I'm at one of those prize things with the window number 1. This is a health sciences, and the government has approved this, so we would like the government to approve this as well, and Guichon Creek, which we will work on unveiling. And Craig Sichak is here, and if you've got questions afterwards, I encourage you to see him, because he's from facilities, and we're putting this campus plan through. And the reason I wanted you to know this, it'll be multiple years. It's going to be much disruption in parking and everything that'll go along with it. But it'll rebuild our campus. And we've asked David Podmore, who was the president and CEO of Concert Properties, to be our campaign chair. So that'll be announced this fall, and I just want you to know that ahead of time. So we'll start a multi-year campaign for raising money for BCIT to supplement what government funding is, so that we can move quickly in these areas. So stay tuned for that, and we'll move forward. Now, when you get into the Great Hall, if you haven't seen it yet, there's a number of booths there. I'd encourage you to do so, and there's even a virtual reality you can jump off a cliff. So that's in case you ever said, I want to jump off a cliff, or you can take your favorite friend to jump off the cliff. So, but the planning staff deserve they're working hard. And if you've got questions tonight, just ask Craig and he'll fill you in. There's so much activity. I just could keep going on, but we've got a great panel who will give you the highlights. Thank you so much for all you do, and I hope you see improvements. And also, we're open to more feedback as to where we need to keep going, because we couldn't do it all in one summer, but we'll get there for sure. Thank you.
Thanks, Kathy. Next up, I'd like to introduce James Rout, who is our Associate Vice President of Education Support and Innovation.
Thanks, Donna. Thanks, Kathy. It's a real pleasure being here tonight. I'm looking forward to meeting all of you for dinner. Had a great time at last year's PTS event. Just wanted to share with you our plans for the education planning process that will be taking place this fall. We started a process in 2015 called the BCIT DNA Initiative, and I'm sure many of you were part of that process. Since then, we've spent a year and a half working on the Learning and Teaching Framework and the Student Success Initiative. And I know many of you have been involved in those processes, and now is the time really to start diving into an education plan for the Institute. So I'm hoping to have a bit of conversation about this. I'll share with you the process that we're looking forward to this fall, but I'm really excited about having some conversations with you about this evening over dinner. So please do connect with me over dinner. I'll be glad to chat further. The process that we're going to go through is called Ed Talks 2017, a thought exchange. Now, the intent here is to have a really deep dive into our education plan for BCIT. It's intended to be a brief discourse internally between September and December this fall. We are taking a number of different approaches to how to engage our entire community of faculty, staff, and management, including a new tool that we've licensed called Thought Exchange, which will allow us to engage with our community online and filter conversations and rank them and organize them according to the community's interest in those initiatives. We're really very interested in grounding this process on three pillars: the Learning and Teaching Framework, the Student Success Initiative, and our public mandate. So this is, for me, a really exciting time to be in education. It's truly a transformational time in history, and we're going through a lot of change in all of our industries. In education, we're seeing massive change in K-12 curriculum, and in industries, we're seeing significant change in terms of technological impact. So we're at a point in time where I'm sure many of you have read reports of significant automation, robotics, artificial intelligence moving into the workforce. This is the time for BCIT to really look ahead to the future, and we need to hear from you how these changes are going to affect your industries. We need to know how to position BCIT to be responsive and proactive in preparing our students to be engaged in this new future workforce. So, as many of you know, we're at the point in history that's being referred to as the Fourth Industrial Revolution, or Industry 4.0. So what that really means is we're at the point now where computer technologies and automation really happened in the mid-20th century. Manufacturing was transformed in that time. And now we're at the point where these changes are going to be taking place across many, many more jobs. Many white-collar jobs that have previously been unaffected by technological change to the same extent are now going to be effective. And that includes journalism, law, finance, many, many industries. So we really need to engage with all of you. We want you to participate in the process, and we will be having many, many different opportunities to engage in that way. So again, the Learning and Teaching Framework, I hope many of you are part of that process. We now have a framework in place that really identifies what makes BCIT tick in terms of teaching and learning. We know how we want to approach the learning and teaching areas at BCIT. We have a defined student success initiative, and we have our provincial mandate from the ministry, which is really focused on workforce development and generating jobs for our students. So the Ed Talks 2017 will be taking place starting in September. There will be a series of communications that come from Tom Romer. We've done some work in preparation for this already in July and August. We've established a project charter. We've set up this tool called Thought Exchange. We've done some pilot work with it, so we're ready to go with that. We're doing some preparation for engagement via the Loop, through a website, through interactive town hall events, and again, as much as possible online so that we can engage every person at BCIT in that way. That process will take us through till the end of November, and then in December and January, we will engage in the process of consolidating and synthesizing that information to prepare a report that we can bring to the community in January and February next year. So I'm looking forward to having more conversations about this process. I would also like to emphasize that PTS is a real core part of this. So the PTS review is intended to start with this process in September, but it will not be ending with the Ed Talks conclusion in December. We want to start the PTS conversation in coordination with the education plan, but that's a longer conversation that we want to have take place over the next year. So I really want to ensure that all of our PTS folks have a chance to contribute to this and become really engaged. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have here, but I really hope we can have a deeper conversation over dinner. But any questions at this point? Great. Okay. Thank you very much. Look forward to seeing you at dinner.
Next up, they just gave the microphone to Dean, but I have Adrian coming up. So Adrian Hingston, who is our Assistant Director of Safety, Security, and Emergency Management.
Thanks, Donna. Thank you all for coming tonight. I know we only do this once a year. It's a great opportunity for us to meet some of you. Some of you who work in the daytime, you see us all the time, but those of you who don't work in the daytime that are here just on the evenings and weekends, it's great to have you out, and it's nice to be able to share some ideas and give you some information. Today, I was asked to speak. Oh, we don't have a slideshow. I was asked to speak about some of the comments related to the questionnaire that you filled out not long ago. Not sure if you guys remember the questionnaire that went around. It was really short. There was one question on it. It was question 48 that related to safety, security, and emergency management and the support and or information that we could provide. And I'll address some of the questions. The majority of what I will address, the overwhelming feedback from the community related to what to do in case of an emergency. So I'll speak about what to do in case of emergency, what services are here for you in case of emergency, and what we expect of you as instructors in this environment if there is an emergency, the things you need to know, and how to direct your class. But first off, a couple things that came out of the questionnaire that don't relate to emergency preparedness. The first, and I'll come back to the first because there is some overlap with emergency preparedness, relates to this. This is the SafetyWise app. So while I'm talking, any of you who haven't pulled out your cell phones and downloaded the app, this is the time to do it. Okay? So if you haven't downloaded the app, you have a cell phone, download it while I'm speaking. Relaxes me because I don't have your eyes penetrating me, and it gives you the service that is so important for us because really it's turning into one of our mass communication tools. Okay? It's our ability to communicate with you. We also have BCIT Alert. We encourage you to download both. The app allows us to communicate with you passively for those things that aren't a need to know, but we want you to be aware of. And then it allows us to send you push notifications if it's an emergency. If you have to stay away or if we have to direct you in any way, shape, or form, the app will, a push notification will be sent on the app, and the same notification will go out through the alert. So if you haven't got it, download it. You just go to the App Store or Google Play and look for BCIT, and it will be the first thing that comes up. Okay. The second thing that we've done this summer that I'll mention, there was one comment on it on the questionnaire relates to the opioid crisis that we saw in Vancouver and we're seeing in Vancouver, Lower Mainland, really over the last 6 to 8 months. We do have naloxone at all of our sites. Okay, the guards have been trained on it. We have the kits. We have 2 kits at each one of our sites, including the Burnaby site, as well as giveaway kits, home use kits at Student Health Services. So if anyone is asking about naloxone, we do have the guards trained, we do have the kits on site, and if anyone needs it for themselves, go up to Student Health Services and they'll provide free kits, okay? So around emergency management, I'll try and be really quick because I know Donna's got really sharp shoes and she's going to use them if I'm not off in the next 5 minutes or so. I'm going to talk a little bit about knowing your environment, okay? Going to your environment in advance of your class. A little bit about the preparedness that you need to do to know what's expected of you in the classroom, okay? Third, and Dean's going to get into this in much more detail, is setting expectations with your students. You're going to do it around student conduct. You're going to do it around course content. I ask that you spend 2 minutes at the start of class doing it around what you expect of them if there is an emergency. As humans, we get a bit complacent. It hasn't happened before. Luckily, it doesn't happen very often in this environment. We've been very fortunate, but don't get complacent because it could happen at any time, any number of things. Okay, then I'm going to talk a little bit about what to expect of the guards, how to generate support from the guards if there is an emergency, whether to contact 911, to use the app, or to contact the guards directly, okay? And what you can expect from the guards. So first, knowing your environment. I teach once a semester in the evening, and I make a habit of going to the classroom in advance. Typically, I do it to make sure that there's a projector in the room and a whiteboard, and if I need pens, etc., it's all there. But I also go to look for the washrooms, the pull stations, the fire extinguishers, the egress routes. Those are really important things to do, okay? Go and familiarize yourself with the environment. The students are going to look to you for support if the bells start ringing or if there's other emergencies, if they get a notification through the app. That's the other thing you should be aware of. All students have been automatically subscribed to the BCIT alert. If you haven't downloaded the app or put the alert on your phone, the students are going to let you know about issues. Really, in your position, you want to know at the same time or in advance of your students, generally. Okay, so go to the classroom, orient yourself to the environment. Tell the students on the first day of class, this is what I expect of you if the bells ring. This is what I expect of you if there's another emergency on site. This is where the washroom is. These are the parking lots. You are going to be looked at to know this environment better than them, for the most part. Okay? Set expectations with your students. If the alarms sound, look to me, I will provide you direction. If I'm not in the class, this is where I'll meet you. This book is really important, okay? We've got them at the booth in the Great Hall, but it's also available online. Okay, in this book, there's assembly areas. Each building, each room has an assembly area associated with it. You're expected to go to that location if the bells ring. Okay, so familiarize yourself with your room, with your assembly areas. If you're on the second floor, there's going to be a refuge area. If you have someone with disabilities, they're going to go to that refuge area. They're not going to be able to get out of the building. It's your responsibility to let security know. You don't have to stay with them, but make sure you're aware that they're there so you can tell security that they're there. They're going to pass that information on to the fire department, okay, so that they can get removed from that location. We've got to make sure these people are safe, okay? So you're going to set expectations. The next thing you should be aware of, and again, this book is really good in that it has classroom preparedness, personal preparedness. Make sure that you've prepared your family, okay? The last thing you want to have to think about is your family and what's going on at home as opposed to dealing with the situation at hand when you're here. You're going to have 16, 20, sometimes more students looking to you for direction. You want to make sure you have a clear head. So water, food, and a plan for your family at home so that they know what to do in case of an emergency and you know where to find them if there is an emergency, okay? Classroom preparedness talks about knowing your environment, but it also talks about setting expectations and a lot of other really good information around classroom preparedness, what you need to know in advance. It also talks about evacuation and shelter in place. Hopefully you've heard the two terms. There are a lot of different things that could happen from an emergency perspective. You are expected to either evacuate the building or shelter in place. We all know what happens when the fire bells go off. We evacuate. We go to our assembly area. Hopefully you know where your assembly area is, or as homework, when you leave here, you'll figure it out. Okay, that's what's expected of you. And that's something that's ingrained in us since we're little. Our kids are now getting shelter in place. We never got that when we were kids. Okay? So if there's an earthquake, you're sheltering in place and you're waiting for information from emergency responders or security. If there's other events like active threats on campus, you're going to get some direction. And you might be told to evacuate. You may be told to shelter in place. In a lot of situations, you're going to have to use your best judgment. But we have 6 guards on this campus 24/7, and some of you are from the downtown campus, 2 guards 24/7 that are there to support you and your students day to day. Ask them for support. I encourage you to talk to them and get support, but if there's an emergency, they're there to provide some level of direction. They also have support. Myself or one of the security managers are on call for them 24/7, 365. We get about 30 call outs after hours. Use the security services. If they can't answer the question, they're going to contact us and we can support you. Okay? Security will let you know if it's time to evacuate. They won't necessarily pull the bells. You may get an alert through the app. Again, really important to have the app to be able to direct your students in an emergency if security is providing you information. Okay? If you're dialing 911, 911 services from an in-house telephone, security is aware of your location. Really important. They will send a guard to you and they will be able to direct the first responders. If you use the app to dial 911, again, they have notification services through the app. They can tell where you are on campus. They will direct first responders to your site and they will have a guard go there to triage the situation. If you or your students call 911 for a cell phone, guess where they're responding to? 3700 Willingdon Avenue. There is nothing more helpless from the security guard's perspective of having police, fire, and ambulance sitting down at Gordway and Willingdon, not knowing where to go. Right? We have over 50 buildings on site. Make sure if you call 911, contact the security guards. Or do it through the app, in which case they'll have a guard on the way before you get to contact them. If you use the app, there's a push of a button to contact security and or 911. Okay? So make sure, again, you have that service available to you. I think that's all I had to say around emergency preparedness. There's very little time right now. Sharon is here, our manager of emergency prep. She's in the Great Hall. If you have any questions related to emergency management specifically, you want to get involved in one of our volunteer programs, we would love to have you. If you have questions specifically around our support of PTS, please let me know. Please talk to Sharon, myself, or Chris, who will be in there. And we'd love to tweak our services to support you best. I recognize that you kind of feel like you're on an island by yourself because most of us daytime people have gone home. But again, we've got support services here 24/7, 365, and we can also come in after hours if you want to have some additional training. Final thing I'll leave you with is student bike patrol is on site. We've got 3 guards or 3 patrollers from last year, students that want to come into your classrooms to talk to your class about safer walk and about the different services security provides. Call security and ask them to send one over. They'll come into your class, they'll give a 5-minute talk about the services. We'll have an additional 10 or so that we hire in 2 weeks' time. And again, you'll have an influx. They may be standing at your door. That's what they want to do, spend 5 minutes with your class. But if you want to proactively contact security and get them in there, call security and get them in there. Okay? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Adrian. Very important information that we all need to keep in mind. So next up, Dean Diamond, our Associate Director of Student Life, and he's going to give you some updates on student life, student wellness, student everything.
Student everything. So first of all, I think I saw a rumor that this slideshow isn't working. And I'm just double checking. It's a separate slideshow. Okay. Oh. Aha, thank you. All right. Okay, good. Otherwise, it was a memory test there. Okay. All right. So I'm Dean from the Student Life Office within Student Services at BCIT. I'm going to speak to a piece of the Student Success Initiative that James mentioned. So Student Life Office was created just over a year ago, and the mandate we've been given is to assist students regardless of campus, full-time or part-time, domestic or international, regardless of start date, to assist them with orienting to what services and supports are available to them beyond the program. So there's a range of excellent free services, and a lot of BCIT students have started telling us we're not aware of them. We don't know how to access them. We're not sure what the hours are. We didn't know they were free. And so part of our intention is to get that information more effectively out to students. We're working on that programming. We're doing a bunch of different initiatives about how to do that and how to strengthen and broaden that message. I'm going to highlight a couple for you, because by doing that, my argument is that we're also helping to support you as instructors to be able to focus on the instruction and refer and support students to other resources as needed. So before I talk about spotlight a few, the foundation of all of our programming is we're trying to get at this idea that the whole student comes here. So this is a health promotion concept. This is the idea that it is not just the occupational and intellectual self that comes in the student arriving at BCIT, but there's all these other dimensions of their well-being. And if they're floundering in any one of those other areas, it's going to be difficult for them to be successful occupationally or intellectually. So spotlighting a couple of the projects we're pushing out to students is we've created a BCIT Kickstart Welcome video, and we're asking all programs to play it in their program orientations. It's also on the BCIT YouTube channel, and it's on a bcit.ca/welcome webpage. I encourage instructors to mention it, to show it in their video. It is not harmful if students see it multiple times. It's a student-to-student voice around the range of services and supports that are available to them. And it's now a tool for you. If a student comes to you and you need to refer them to another resource, you're welcome to remind them about the video. You'll know more about the services yourself. Another tool we're using is creating student services wayfinding guides. And those are both print and online tools for students to have an understanding of the range of services and supports available to them. Some of you may have been here yesterday or at we had wayfinding stations, a lot of us wearing these very visible yellow shirts, and welcome stations to assist people getting around campus, finding out where their program orientations are. We are doing the same thing next week for part-time studies students arriving. Monday through Thursday, 4 p.m. to 7 p.m., both the Burnaby campus and the downtown campus, staffed by student staff. So they're getting that student-to-student voice to help answer questions, orient to the campus and their services. So those are some of the initiatives directed to students. Now I'm going to talk about two other pieces of the student life portfolio: case management and student conduct. The idea here is that, yes, those are services for students, but they're also services for instructors, any BCIT employee. So the idea behind case management is that if we can intervene early for early indicators of concern, then we can support and resource a student before it becomes a crisis. Some of you may have picked up this year in review document. Near the end, there's a short story about the Case Management Early Alert Project. We did a pilot last year in 6 programs in one of the schools, and we're in the process of rolling it out institute-wide in this coming year. The idea being that we can't guarantee a student's success, but we can support them as much as possible. 1, by pre-educating them about their resources. 2, supporting employees to know about those resources and encourage referrals. And 3, if there are indicators of concern, that we can have an early response. The idea here is that any behavior is information. It tells us that something might be happening, it might be escalating, and if we can intervene sooner, excellent. So the case management approach is that idea of before it becomes a crisis, before it becomes a conduct concern, before it becomes failing out of a course or a program, we can support a student and connect them. There might be flags around engagement, social engagement, academic engagement, or they could be flags around well-being, safety concerns, behavior concerns, health concerns. So through the Student Life Office, there is the availability of confidential consultation. If any BCIT employee has a concern about a student, you know what referral to give? Great, excellent. If you're not certain, or if it seems exceptionally complex, you're not sure where the right referral is, or maybe there's multiple referrals, you can reach out to the Student Life Office. We can assist you with navigating that. Or take on the case management and do some one-on-one work with the student. Beyond that, if it does become a conduct concern, all BCIT community members, employees, and students have the right to work and learn in a safe and respectful environment. There is a student conduct policy. There's an academic one, and then there's a non-academic one. And Student Life Office is responsible for the application of the non-academic Student Code of Conduct. We are available as a resource to you if you are witnessing behavior that you're not sure if it is non-academic misconduct. So again, that philosophy that the earlier we intervene, the more successful we're likely to be in getting that student plugged back in to being an engaged community member. So that is my summary. We do not yet have up-to-date website content, but we do have a developing Loop group, so please check that out. And the bcit.ca/welcome webpage has that Kickstart video that I was mentioning, and you're more than welcome to contact the Student Life Office for more information.
As a 38-year plus member of Student Services, I can't tell you how much this Student Success, Student Life initiative just makes me happy, fills my cup up, that we're taking this very seriously and that we're seeing students be much more successful through the pilot projects. It was amazing to see just that little bit of intervention up front can change the way a student makes their journey through this institution. So good work, Dean. Thank you very much for that. So formally, thank you to all of our presenters. Dinner will be served in the pub at 6:30. Two ways of getting down. You can either go out back through the foyer out, or you can follow out these doors and sneak back in through the Great Hall. Again, a reminder, if you haven't been to the Service Expo this morning or this afternoon, please drop by on your way down to the pub for dinner and see what we have to offer. And another reminder about those sticks that you can get, the USB sticks from the Learning and Teaching booth. Very important that those of you that don't have one, get one. Those of you that were here in May and got one already, there hasn't been any changes to it, so you don't need to pick up a new stick. What else am I supposed to tell you? A reminder, please be sure to attend your school's information session. So after dinner at 7:30, each individual school will have their deans, associate deans, or representatives from their school there to talk to you. If you don't know where to go, in the pub, there's on the television sets, there will be the rooms for each individual school, or you can ask one of us that have the dark blue BCIT name tag, and we'll be able to direct you again. So Rob and Sherry, I don't know if they are in this room, Rob York and Sherry Monsma. I'd like to share a big round of applause for them to say thank you for everything they've done. They work very hard. And again, encourage you to seek out any of us that were on the panel this afternoon to have a different conversation or a longer conversation over the course of dinner. So thank you. We know your time is important. We want to give you a good evening tonight. So again, thank you for your time. Thank you for your generosity in teaching our students. And good luck this term. We'll see you next year. Thank you.